Hey everyone, you're watching a multiplayer commentary on Third Age Total War, which is a Lord of the Rings inspired mod for the game Medieval 2 Total War. And I am playing with the ultimate evil faction, Mordor, and my opponent Gimli is playing with the High Elves. So it should be an interesting matchup, just because both of these factions are pretty different in terms of their structure. As you can see, most of my army is infantry. They're basically medium to heavy infantry. A bunch of Uruk halberds, and I think Mordor guards, who are basically orcs of some sort. And my hope is basically to rush this elven army because they will be shooting at me a lot with their units. As you can see here, Gimli has some elven archers up front. Backing them, he has some elven swordsmen who are light infantry, and then he has heavy Eldar spearmen anchoring his center, and these guys have very nice blades and armor. As you can see, you might recognize them from the movie, I think the first Lord of the Rings movie. And then there's some Eldar archers, some light archers in the middle, and these are Mythond, I forget, heavy infantry. And in the back he has the general on horse, and hey, that guy looks familiar. Hugo Weaving. So, yeah, like I said, I've basically chosen, I only have 2 archer units and I don't expect them to play much role. Basically, I'm betting that my bigger army will be able to sort of overwhelm Gimli's army. Gimli, in his favor, has archers shooting at me this entire time, and also generally higher quality units, so they'll usually better armored, better morale, better weapons. And so, yeah, this opens up. Basically, I send some of my Mordor guard crashing into these Eldar spearmen. Because I do have a lot more soldiers in my army, I'm going to try to flank Gimli's army from both sides. And here you can see sort of Mordor's real secret weapon going to work. Those are the trolls who, if you've seen any of the Lord of the Rings films, you most likely remember those guys. Basically really tough, hard to kill, and they throw regular infantry around like ragdolls. And here one of my Uruks is attempting to charge the general unit, although I guess that flag bearer realized he's a bit too far out front. Okay, so finally this Uruk unit does engage Gimli's general. And as you can see, I've already begun flanking Gimli's army with some of my Uruks. Basically, I've sent my Uruks in from both left and right flanks, and I've sent my orcs straight up the middle. And I charged my trolls into the back of this elven unit to hopefully flank them really quickly, and that seems to have worked. Now on the right side, you can see these Uruk halberds that I've sent to flank finally coming into the action. Probably should have taken, well, I thought I told them to run, but they seem to be going a bit slowly there. And from the left side, I've sent in more halberds to close in. And as usual, the trolls are going to work on these Eldar archers. Yeah, and there you can see they're pretty much just knocking guys around like nothing. Okay, and Gimli's basically using his general to charge in and out and hit a lot of my units wherever he can in the back, and also to rally any of his units who have retreated from battle. And that's one thing then my army kind of was sorely lacking in this particular fight, because I didn't really have cavalry, because Mordor really doesn't have any good cavalry units aside from their general, and I chose not to take that because he's really expensive. But the downside of not taking cavalry is that I can't continued chasing those elven units which started fleeing the field and routing, and normally you do that to ensure they continue running. But since I wasn't able to do that, a lot of those units eventually came back into the fight, which did hurt me in the end. Actually, you can see over there was one charging back into the fray already. And yeah, here's Gimli's general again, doing hammer, as they say, hammer and anvil strikes on my troops. See, there's an elven unit running, but they'll probably be back. Okay, and I've kind of sort of surrounded that elven unit, although at this point I think I got a bit distracted and I was kind of tired of Gimli's general charging my guys, so I sent the trolls after him for a second. They just managed to kill a few people, but they didn't really take that cavalry unit out. Alright, so I basically destroyed that flank of Gimli's army, and so I'm moving on to the center. But my right flank has kind of completely collapsed there, as you can see, and Gimli's general is proceeding to cut them down, which is why it's good to have cavalry. Let's see, and yeah, I really wanted to try to engage most of the elven units so they wouldn't be doing this, which is continually shooting my guys, because in the Third Age Total War mod, elves generally have the best archers, and you really don't want them to be shooting at you. Okay, and as you can see, my trolls are still tied up over there on the right flank, or I guess that's Gimli's left flank, my right flank, and got some of my halberds trying to get into the fight, but Gimli's frontline troops are now freed up because they've routed my frontal assault, so now they're actually going to turn around. And here in the back, that one elven unit is still stubbornly holding out, and now, like I mentioned, those retreating units have rallied over here, and now they will proceed to shoot my units to death. It's a very nice banner, by the way. Oh, okay, and here you couldn't quite see, but my general just died, which means my army's morale is going to plummet and they will begin running. And so that basically began the end of the battle for me. My army kind of collapsed. But when you think about it, I guess orcs don't really have great morale to begin with. It's probably not incredibly inspiring to fight for some evil giant burning eye and have very few creature comforts. So anyway, here's the last stand of my trolls, who were the only units I had who really didn't rout off the field. At least the only units who were in the thick of the battle and didn't rout. But they're finally going to get cut down after doing a good amount of damage. You'll see at the end they actually killed probably half as many elves as the rest of my entire army did, which is kind of sad for the rest of my troops. Okay, and now the only unit I have left here is an Uruk archer unit, but they are going to be completely outgunned in a way. And at this point I just admitted defeat. Run for the hills. Alright, and that was a pretty bloody battle. Ended up being close defeat, even though I suffered, I think, a significantly higher number of casualties. But like I mentioned before, my troops are lower quality, so if I'd concentrated my attacks a bit more, I might have been able to swing it the other way. But yeah, otherwise, thanks again for watching this commentary on Third Age, and I will probably have a few more up in the near future.